Monday morning to you, and we are obviously glad to be able to share God's Word with you again. Yesterday, of course, outdoor service. Sunday, we had a great time together. It was great to see so many of you that have not been able to attend, and with us being outdoors for the next month or so, we trust that maybe we'll be able to see many more people coming back. And today I want to share with you from John chapter 13 and tell a little bit of a personal story. When my father's health was ailing and failing, I had the opportunity to help him one day. And, you know, it's usually life is all about the parents helping the kids, but obviously there comes a point in time where those roles are reversed and the child steps up and does what is necessary to help the parent. Well, that day was one of those particular days, and when we finished, my father looked at me and with nearly a tear in his eye said, thank you for helping me. And without really thinking about it much, I said, Dad, it was my honor to help you. And I think about that day because obviously it was a very touching, sentimental moment in my life to be able to help my dad and for him to give thanks in the way that he did. And it makes me think about our humility in life nearly always is followed up with an action. And not to pat myself on the back, but to lead into a story about Jesus, a real life account when he humbled himself and his humility showed up by his action. And so in John 13, beginning in verse 12, I want to read that story to you. And you will be able to obviously see what we're talking about, the life of Jesus, who really makes it possible for all of us to be humble or to humble ourselves and to show humility by action. You know, it's always funny when someone says, you know, I'm a humble person. You know, they kind of just gave away when they have to announce that to others rather than show it or prove it with an action. So in John chapter 13, I want to begin in verse number 12. When he had washed their feet. Now, just imagine this setting, this room, the atmosphere, even the mood. Here is Jesus, the Son of God, who has knelt on the floor before his disciples. And he is literally washing off the dirt, the muck, the everyday life, the travels, everything about the disciples and how they were, who they were, really is represented in this filth on their feet. And Jesus himself has humbled himself and is kneeling there with a basin of water, a towel, and he is washing off that grime from their feet. And when he had washed their feet and put on his outer garments, he resumed his place and he said to them, Do you understand what I have just done? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you should also wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you also should do just as I have done to you. Truly, truly, I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent them. If you know these things, blessed are you if you do these things. So here we have the Son of God kneeling at the feet of everyday ordinary man. That's you and I. We are without Jesus washing, cleansing, forgiveness. We are filthy. In fact, the Old Testament says our sin is as filthy rags. And the Son of God has humbled himself, just as we celebrated yesterday, by going to the cross and dying for us. And it was his death and resurrection that made it possible that our sin be washed away. And so the first representation of Jesus washing feet is his death, burial, and resurrection payment cleansing for our forgiveness of sin. But then secondly, the application to what Jesus did here. He humbles himself and serves. And Jesus said, if I'm your teacher, master, Lord, and I am doing this, then this is something you ought to do for others also. And there are some churches that literally take that as an ordinance that they should literally wash one another's feet, whereas we interpret that as we should serve one another with humility. And so let me ask you, what are you doing on a regular basis to humble yourself and serve others? Not literally maybe in the sense of washing feet, although that is not unheard of, uncommon, or maybe not even something that we should consider that maybe we ought to do at times as a practice of humility. But serving in the nursery, mowing the lawn at the church, brushing out cobwebs, digging a hole, putting up a fence, maybe helping an elderly person. You know, there are so many ways that we can be Jesus to other people. It may be at the church at 301 North Orchard, or it may be on your street, your next door neighbor. Maybe it's that person that has offended you or you haven't always seen eye to eye with. And you can humble yourself and serve them. Because Jesus told us in this passage, if I'm your Lord and I'm doing this, here's an example for you of something you should do to one another. And then Jesus ends this with a real challenge. He said, if you know these things intellectually in your mind, if you know these things, you will be blessed when you do these things. I don't know about you, but I like the blessings of God. I like when I can say, you know what, God has been good to me. And if I am willing to be humble and willing to put my feet in faith and humility into action, I will see the blessings of God. Have a great Monday.